Hello, everyone, and good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are, and a very, very warm welcome to this 37th and possibly final session of our exploration of the Mahayana Uttara Tantra Shastra, also known as the Ratnagotra Vibhaga, and much more simply known in Tibetan as Jutlama. So let's start in the very, very best way in which we always start, which is by reminding ourselves of our bodhicitta on the bright side, reminding ourselves of our mortality on the darker side, and that we are here for a brief and very special time in this life. And in all the things that happen in this life through karma, we get this incredible opportunity, not just to connect with Dharma, but to connect with the highest, deepest, and really most meaningful teachings of Dharma, those about our Buddha nature and our potential for enlightenment to help everybody. We take refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma, and in the community of most noble minds. From this moment on, until we reach the very heart of enlightenment. Through our practice of generosity and all six transcendent virtues, may we reach total awakening and every enlightened quality, to be able to truly help sentient beings so lost in samsara. May each and every being be well, live long, be healthy, be well provided for. May they have good friends and find respect. May they live in places of peace and plenty. And most of all, may they practice Dharma. May they each create the causes for these good circumstances to be their wealth in future lives. And may they be free of suffering and from creating causes of future suffering. May they discover the natural, sacred well-being totally beyond suffering and attain the great equanimity that's free of closeness or distance from anyone. Deyata shamme shammawati shammeta shatru am kure marajite karota keorite juwate oloyane pishudane male malapana ye kukure kaka grase grasana omuke paramuke amuke shamme davane sawagraha bandhanane nigre Hitva Savabhava Pravadina Vimukta Marapasha Savitva Buddha Mudra Anukatita Savamare Putsarita Pareshude Beka Shantu Savamara Kamani. Glorious Guru, source of all blessing, ever present above our heads on lotus and moon seat, through your immense kindness, ever sustain us, that the accomplishments of body, speech, and mind flow from you, and we are one. So we're coming to the end of our long journey together. These teachings on Maitreya Asanga's text and on the third turning of the Wheel of Dharma, we started in November 2024. So it's over a year ago. And of course I was away in the summer a little bit for medical reasons. But today we should be coming to the end. And I must say, when I started I really didn't know if that would be possible. I thought this is a huge undertaking. You always get audience drop-off, with whatever course you start off, and people are curious, and then if it goes on, then the numbers drop and drop until you get to a kind of core group. So I thought, this is a big text. Will people stick with it? And also I had my own health problems in various areas. I thought, well, I lived through the year to teach it, and then I had my blip in the summer and the heart surgery and so on. So for me, it's just a wonder. I really have to blink several times to think, really? We got the whole way through the text? Well, not quite. We've got today to go, but I must say, and it wasn't planned, but we're just finishing on, it's New Moon Day, it's the solstice. It's kind of a nice day to end one thing and move forward into another course. So let's get on with it. And first thing, and thank you, Paul, for reminding me, what I've been doing is reading all the verses, so you've got the transmission of the text. And there were some verses I explained, but I didn't read the actual verses. So straight away, let's do those. It's just a few. So it was back in the example of Indra's palace, the first of our 9 examples here. If all the earth were rid of fearful places and became flawless Vaidurya, lustrous and beautiful with all that jewel's qualities, free from impurity, magnificent and of smooth, even surface, there would appear, on account of such purity, the various divine abodes and the form of the King of Gods. By the gradual disappearance of such a ground's qualities, those things would once again no longer be apparent. In order to obtain such a state, many men and women would turn to the precepts of mindfulness, true generosity, and so forth, scatter flowers and do other similar deeds, their minds full of aspiration. In a similar way, in order to become the mighty victor king who had appeared in their minds, comparable to pure Vaidurya, bodhisattvas developed their mind perfectly, their spirit being filled with great joy. Just as the reflection of the King of Gods appears in the clear Vaidurya ground, so also does the reflection of the King of Sages' form appear in the clear ground, which is beings' minds. For beings, the appearance and disappearance of these reflections occur through their mind's condition, polluted or unpolluted. Similar to such manifestations of form in the worlds, these should not be taken as existing or extinct entities. So that was back in the first example. And remember, we had the example of Indra's reflection in a brilliant jewel ground for the Buddha's body. Then we had the drum that sounds in the God's realm for the wonder of Buddha's speech. And then we had the monsoon clouds raining on everyone and everything in different ways for the wonder of Buddha's mind and Buddha's compassion. So like that, we worked through several examples, and we finished last time with the example of the wish-fulfilling gem. So now today, we come to example 7. Remember, all of these examples are to show us 2 main things. Spontaneity, it happens instantly. There's no elaboration, there's no thinking. So that's the second thing, actually. There is no thought and conceptuality involved. So one echo one example here that can help us is the echo. We're on page 299 and verse 350. The echo's sound arises due to the other's faculties of cognition. Concept-free, it's effortless and abides neither within nor without. Likewise, Tathagata's speech arises due to others' cognitive faculties, and it is concept-free, effortless, and neither within nor without. So that's very simple. We've only got 2 short verses for this example, and is the example of the echo. Not the whole process, the echo itself. So if somebody sings, there's somebody doing their thing, singing, and if there's an echo of a cliff face, then there is the echo. So whereas there is some original person singing, making the noise, relatively speaking, really there, somebody who hears the echo of it from the cliff face, there's nobody there. It sounds like it's coming from over there, from the cliff face. And if you know a bit about sound, if it seems like it's coming from over there, it's probably because the person singing is over there on the other side. But it sounds like there's somebody there singing. Why? Because the person listening is where they are, with ears and a brain. So this is what it means by others' faculties. Because of where you are. So one person hears it as though it's coming from there. And if there's lots of reflective surface, somebody's standing somewhere else, it sounds like it's coming from somewhere different. Where it is, what it is, I mean, this is an example. It's something we can experience. But the point is, it just happens. It's not as though the cliff face thinks, oh, somebody's singing, and there's Ken over there. I must send him a second-hand version. And then a lot of effort involved, and send each person their own. Nothing like that. It just happens automatically. And in Samiling, in Scotland, opposite Samiling, there's a hill called Fairy Hill. And if you go above Fairy Hill to the higher hills where there's no trees, there's a very good echo effect. And you can sort of play around with this and listen. Well, seeing as we are not... just a moment. Seeing as we're not standing on Fairy Hill just now, then I've got an echo for you, which I've got a task, what they call a task bar. Standing in the way of what I want to do. Okay, let's try something different. Oh dear, this was supposed to be spontaneous and effortless. Okay. Can you wave if you hear something? This is a recording of me speaking, and this is a recording of me speaking, always echo. The question is the second sound, where is it, and what is it? So here, in the example, we are considering just the echo bit, and how, well, where is it, what you hear? It's in the listener, but then it's very strange because you can't sort of keep it to check it out. If you heard it, you heard it, and then it's gone. And so it's taking place in you, but it couldn't take place if there wasn't somebody making the sound in the first place. Yeah, so we think about it. What is Buddha mind, Buddha nature? We're looking here at Buddha activity. And what do we get of it? And how does it manifest in our world? And the point is, it just happens automatically because of our faculties, our good karma, and through meditation, our stillness, our openness, and so on, through all of the many factors that make us who we are in this moment, then either we get this echo of teaching. The Buddha's echo is speech. Buddha's speech is what teaches us. So we have these moments when there is intense learning, we're light bulb moments. Other times we just not so light bulb. We're just ticking along and drinking coffee and eating croissants and doing other stuff. And so the echo is an example. And like all these examples, it's for you to work on it for the rest of your life. And we won't just get it today. Sowing a seed. Space is the next example, the mystery of form. Even though space is nothing whatsoever, non-manifest, not a mental object, without foundation, completely invisible, without form, and not demonstrable, it is seen as being up or down. Yet space is not like that. Likewise, nothing seen in relation to Buddha is like Buddha at all. So here the example is space. This word is tricky in when we translate from Tibetan, because it means both space in the elemental sense, like the space between you and your screen just now. Can you see that space between you and the screen just now? Well, but is there a space? Well, what is there? Nothing. There is nothing. But you see, it was the space between you and your screen. We can talk about it in that space. You can say, put your fist in that space between you and the screen. You can do that. But in that what? Where did you put it? You can say, put your fist in water, put your fist in your face or whatever. But you can put it in a space. But what do we mean? There's nothing. There's nothing there. So we can have space, but it also means the sky. The sky. So when you come across this word in text, really it means both space, the element, and the sky, which is, unless you're standing on your head, always above us. But space, the element, is everywhere, including inside you. You've got spaces in your body, in your lungs, space is everywhere. So this means both. And it's a very important example, not just in these 9, but in this text as we've gone through it. Space has come back again and again as being different from the other 4 elements. And so we think about it, and especially this, it will come up in the dohas probably. It's about seeing space. We can see space. we see space. If you have two chairs, you can say, see the space between those two chairs. You can look at it. You can see space. But what do you see? So this is why it says it's not an object of the senses. Because when we study Abhidharma, like we did last year, then the eye can see colors and shapes and then recognize them as forms. And the ear can hear sound. So each sense has its object. Space is not an object of the senses because there's nothing there to see. When we say space, what we really mean is there's nothing. So nothing is no thing. So, like I said, with the other example, this is something to think about for the rest of your life and to explore space. It's an example because it's something that's in our world. Like I said, for the first couple of examples, Indra's reflection, the divine drum, they're nice examples, but we can't go and work with them. Space, echoes, the sun, rain in general, monsoon rain if you can get to India, there we can check them out and meditate on them, explore them, feel them, and try and see what the text is saying. So here it's saying that when we talk about space, and you say, I've got a lot of space in my attic. You've got a lot of what? It's like I've got a lot of food in my fridge, right? I've got a lot of food in my belly, There's something. When you say I've got a lot of space in my attic, as opposed to a little bit of space, once you start thinking about how we think of space, how we talk about space, and what do we mean, and it's not quite, once you explore it, what it seems to be. This is the point in this example. It's called the mystery of Buddha's form. We see gurus, people at the time of Buddha, experienced somebody in front of them, magnificent, teaching them. But what they saw is not quite as real and solid and as substantial as what they experienced. Ninth example is earth. And this is about the way compassion works, the nourishment of compassion. On page 301, verse 354. Everything which grows from the ground develops, becomes firm and grows through depending on the thought-free earth. So that's the example. If you plant, an onion, plant a seed, the earth doesn't need to think, seed, what do I need to do with that? Which elements do I need to nourish it? How do I need to do my thing to make it grow? It just is the earth. So it says everything which goes into the earth, into the ground. Again, this word in Tibetan, sa, it means the ground, it means the earth. Earth as a substance, earth the element. But here we're looking at the very simple, planting stuff. So the earth doesn't need to think, it just is there, and as soon as we plant it and then water it, something will grow. It is absolutely amazing. If you take like a walnut and you plant it and then it grows. It's just a walnut. It's that big and it's kind of light brown and it is what it is. Yet it becomes a whole tree. with green leaves and many branches and so much that isn't like what it came from. Where did all the substance, all the molecules, to make green leaves and so on, where did they come from? From the earth. That little seed kind of got nourished and sucked in stuff, and it becomes a huge tree. I've got olive trees in my garden with the sort of grounds full of olives that the pigeons are eating. But these magnificent trees, I've got one that's about 200 years old, that came from an olive. You know what an olive is? It's simple. But the whole tree, all of its beauty and every aspect, and every year it makes little flowers, tiny little yellow scented flowers. All that from an olive. Where does all that nourishment come from? Mother Earth. It's incredible. So we think about that for the rest of our lives. We explore the earth, and not just in terms of planting things, but the stability beneath our feet, gravity and all the rest. So then verse 355, likewise every root of being's virtue, without exception, increases through dependence on the thought-free Buddha ground. So if you look, you go into your garden, you go into a park, see all the different things growing, grass, bushes, and trees, all of them are growing out of the ground. And in the example, all of us are growing as bodhisattvas, as more intelligent, kinder, softer, more peaceful beings, out of this basic ground of being, which is Buddha, or the activity of all the Buddhas. And we each grow in our different way, in our own time, and so on, and so on. So that's the example. Now, over the page 302, now we've done the 9 examples, we have what's called a review of the purpose of these examples. Verses 356, 357, 358. Since ordinary beings do not perceive action without effort, these 9 examples were taught to annihilate disciples' doubts. These 9 examples have been excellently and fully taught in the Sutra of a Name which explains their purpose. The wise, adorned with the great light of wisdom, born of such study, will swiftly enter all Buddha domains. So there it says normally when we see action, activity, it has effort, and any activity in ordinary life, it involves some effort, it involves thinking. The better the thinking, the better the planning, and so on. As we've seen in the last 2 weeks, then the better is the outcome, usually. And also, normally with general education, it involves an effort. Teachers and professors don't just come in and spontaneously talk off the top of their head. They've spent years studying, they prepare a lecture, they prepare material. It all takes a lot of effort and teaching. So here we're looking at the Buddha's teaching, which is not just little effort, minimum effort, it's zero effort. So because we're not used to that, and if you think about what that means on the deeper level, it's an interaction between 2 beings. You go to a teacher, you go to a wise person, you have a chat, there's an interaction. To understand that what is coming from spontaneously from a natural place not obvious. So we look at these 9 examples to say, look, in your life, or for at least 6 or 7 of them, look, you've got echoes, you've got the sun, you've got the earth. Look how they work. Do they think? Do they make an effort? No, they just are what they are. And so for us, it's wonderful. We have teachers, and we have some wonderful teachers, very, very special, wise, pure teachers. So when somebody comes to them for advice, then they rest their mind in Buddha mind, Buddha nature. And the answer comes spontaneously. The guidance they give comes through them spontaneously. So this is why the examples were taught. And then page 303, verse 359 and 360. Oh, sorry, it does say these 9 examples come from a sutra. So the sutra is called The Ornament Shining with the Primordial Wisdom which pervades the spheres of all the Buddhas. And as it says, the title of that sutra tells you what it's about. It's an ornament on the Buddha's teaching, shining with the primordial wisdom which pervades the spheres of all the Buddhas. So then, this point has been taught through 9 examples, such as Indra's reflection in Vaidurya. The meaning they illustrate excellently are, and then we get a list of what we've already seen with each example: Buddha's manifestation, Buddha's speech, Buddha's all-pervasiveness, Buddha's emanations, the radiance of jhana, the mysteries of body, speech and mind, and possession of a compassionate nature. So we've gone through the 9 examples and what they refer to. Manifestation, Indra's palace; speech, the divine drum; all-pervasiveness, the monsoon clouds; Brahma, emanations, and so on. And so here we're recapitulating. It's nothing to scratch your head about. It's straightforward. Verse 361, all channels of effort for a Buddha have been pacified totally because their mind is free of ideas. Just like Indra's reflection and so forth, appearing in the stainless Vaidurya. Here, the term pacification of effort is the proposition, the mind free of ideation is the logical justification, the examples, Indra and so forth, help establish naturalness. So this is about syllogisms. And if you're familiar with syllogisms, then you'll know what it's about. If you're not familiar with syllogisms, look it up. Syllogism is a logical argument. You present an argument, blah, blah, blah. You present a justification because, blah, 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 the reason. And for a nice syllogism, you give, in a third step, the example, like. So here, what is called in a syllogism the predicate, which means what we're talking about, is enlightened activity. The statement, the philosophical statement or argument we're making is, it is effortless. Effort meaning, as expressed here as all effort has been pacified on the bodhisattva path, bit by bit. So that's the statement. Predicate, enlightened activity. Statement, it is effortless. Proof, the enlightened mind is free of ideas. No ideas, no effort. Example, like the reflection of Indra and the other 8. Over the page, verse 363, the point being made is that the one who shows the way, the Buddha, who is beyond birth and death, manifests effortlessly these 9, appearance and so forth. Recapitulation again, verse 364. This effortless altruistic action, for as long as existence endures, is like that of Indra, the drum, the clouds, Brahma, the sun, the wish-fulfilling gem, an echo, space, or the earth. But this is understood by the great yogin alone. So in those 2 verses, we've had 2 other names, 2 epithets for the Buddha. In the earlier verse it said, the one who shows the way, the shower of the way. This is one of the words we use, like Tathagata, Buddha, enlightened one, the one who teaches, who shows the way. But the word usually is written as teacher with a capital T. But teacher often gives people the idea of speech, words. But it's much more than that. The Buddha shows by example, by presence, and also by speech and by words. So that's one epithet for the Buddha. Another one is the great yogi, the great yogin. So it says, although these examples help us, the real nature of effortless, altruistic action, effortless action to help others, the real nature, the truth of it, how it really is, only Buddha knows. The examples help us get a better idea of what's really going on with Buddha activity. It's kind of good news. If you say, well, I can't quite get this, how it works, that's normal. And even when you're a first level bodhisattva, you've got a lot more understanding. And even if you become second, third level bodhisattva teacher, teaching other beings, resting in the nature of mind, becoming like a transparent window for Buddha activity to teach them through you, still you haven't got it 100%. So that's good news, We shouldn't think I'm daft, I'm stupid, I've been to Ken's talk and I still don't get it. You won't get it 100% until you are Buddha. But the wonderful thing about the path is we get it more and more. Bit by bit, it all falls into place. Page 305 and verse 366. Similarly to Brahma, they manifest many an emanation without ever departing. I missed a verse. Bottom of page 304. Similar to Indra's jewel, appearance is manifestation, Buddha manifestation, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. Like the divine drum is the perfect bestowing of instruction, and like the hosts of clouds are perfect knowledge and compassion, with which the all-embracing pervades limitless beings, up to the summit of conditioned existence. The summit of conditioned existence. The journey to enlightenment has 5 stages. Stage of accumulation, stage of junction. On the second stage, the stage of junction, there are 4 substages. The fourth of the 4 substages is called the summit of existence, the highest worldly thing. It's as high and as pure and as wise as you can go while you're still in the 6 realms of existence, reincarnating. And then when we reach the third level of the five, that's the first bodhisattva level, you're out of worldly existence. Different story. So here, this is just to tell you what it's referring to. It says, up to the summit of conditioned existence. To understand this more, you need to look at the paramita of meditation and the four dhyanas and the results of the four dhyanas and what happens to your peacefulness as you mature it through different stages. Verse 366, similar to Brahma, they manifest many an emanation, but without ever departing from their untainted domain. Like the sun, they radiate universally their jhana light, and like the wishing gem, perfectly pure is their mind. Like an echo, devoid of any verbalizing, is the victor's speech, and like space all-pervading, formless and permanent is their body, and like the earth, the universal ground for all medicinal herbs that are being's virtues, is the state of Buddhahood. Now, if we turn the page, we come to a review still of these 9 examples, showing what it says, their sublime nature. Verse 368, one sees Buddhas in this mind comparable to pure Vaidurya, through mind's purity and the development of the faculty of irreversible faith. So, why do we experience Buddhas, Buddha mind, in our meditations? Why? It's because of purity. In moments of purity, why do they arise? Because of good karma, virtuous karma, doing many, many good things, leading a good life, and through meditation, and in particular, through the faculty of irreversible faith. So we need to examine our faith to see, is my faith irreversible? Or a bit reversible? Or does it go into reverse automatically sometimes? There was, oh dear, in this last week, in the town where I live here, La Ciotta, it made the national news. I don't know if it made the international news, but a lady was picking up her kids, her daughter, from a dance class, and she was taking a car. She wasn't used to a Jaguar automatic, and she got mixed up between the forward and the reverse, and between the brake pedal and the accelerator, and so trying to stop and go the other way, she went faster and faster, downhill, through the glass window, full height window of a swimming pool, and into the swimming pool. So we had a Jaguar at the bottom of our local swimming pool, right? And so there's been the saga here, it's been, in the local news and so on, of, how do you get it? First of all, she was there with her daughter, in the deep end. So fortunately there were lifeguards there. They jumped in the water, they got them out safe and sound. But then how do you get the car out without, because you can't take a big crane into a municipal swimming pool. It's been the local drama that we've been going through. And everyone's wants to know, who is it? Who is she? And the newspapers are not giving her name. So anyway, irreversible. Irreversible is our faith. Now when it says faith, we study that in Precious Human Existence, 3 aspects of faith. The main embodiment of that is our refuge and bodhicitta. So because we are not consistent, sometimes we have a lot of faith, sometimes we have, and sometimes it fades into the background, we're busy and so on. So in a shorter term, from moment to moment, and in a longer term, year to year, or even life to life, because the causality of faith comes and goes, it's like the example of the Vaidurya gem. When it's all very smooth and polished, people see the reflection of the gods, but as it gets dusted over, scratched and so on, gradually it disappears. So, and this is terrible, this is terrible, because sometimes people have the most wonderful open experiences with their Buddha nature. They have visions, they see Buddha, or they're in a space of, and you think, this is it, I'm never going to leave, it's never going to leave me, I'm there now. But it's not because Buddha comes and Buddha goes away and Buddha's naughty kind of tantalizes us, gives us a nice clear blast and then says, what other do for now, I'll be back in 5 years' time. It's nothing to do with Buddha. It's about the purity of our mind, which comes and goes through the power of our karma, our meditation, all the various factors that we put into it. It's like making a very pure, polished ground, and then it gets unpolished. So it says, since this virtue appears and disappears, the forms of the Buddha may also appear and disappear. However, like Indra, the great sage's Dharmacharya is beyond arising and destruction, disappearance. Verse 370, like him in a way which is effortless, and from this Dharmacharya, which is without birth or death, Buddhas engage in activity such as manifestation, meaning manifesting birth and death, for as long as conditioned existence, samsara, continues. For as long as samsara continues. Now the next set of verses tell us great examples, but this example is great for this, but it's not the same as Buddha because. So here we go. Verse 371. Here follows a summarized meaning of the examples taught in which, in order, dissimilarities are eliminated from the former to the latter. Verse 372. The Buddha is like that reflection of Indra, but not the same, inasmuch as that melody, that reflection, does not have the melody of Buddha's speech. Yes, he's like the celestial drum, but not the same, inasmuch as the celestial drum is not universally beneficial, just benefits the gods. He is like that vast cloud of rain, which does benefit all the plants and beings, but not the same, inasmuch as the rain cannot remove useless seeds. The rain just rains on the good seeds and the bad seeds, the weeds and the medicinal herbs. He is like Mahabrahma, who manifests in many places, but not the same, because Mahabrahma does not bring into beings a lasting maturity. Over the page, verse 374, he's like the form of the sun, but not the same, inasmuch as the sun cannot vanquish darkness forever, whereas our Dharma journey, based on what comes out of our Buddha mind, out of enlightened activity, is a forever journey. When we get to the end, samsara is gone forever. He's like the wish-fulfilling gem, but not the same, inasmuch as its appearance isn't that difficult to encounter, whereas to meet Buddha mind is very, very rare. So, well, we have to believe that one. It says it's not that difficult to go to a wish-fulfilling gem, but I don't know anywhere on our planet you can go and find one. But from the Buddhist point of view, who sees everything, lots of those. But Buddha actually manifesting in our life is much rarer because the conditions within us of virtue and purity and meditation are much rarer. He's like an echo, but not the same, inasmuch as the echo arises through causes and conditions. He's like space, but not the same, inasmuch as space is not the basis for goodness. That's a very important pair of lines. The basic nature of being, the universe, is a moral universe. It's not just like a blank piece of paper, an unprogrammed computer chip that's neutral. The basic nature of you, me, everything is pure and good. So different from space. Verse 376, he's like the mandala of the earth, being the supportive ground for absolutely every single goodness in sentient life, be it mundane or supramundane, because the supramundane path arises on the basis of the Buddha's enlightenment, as do the paths of virtuous action, concentrative meditation, the limitless contemplations, and the formless ones. So it's enlightened activity. Main point of enlightened activity is teaching, guiding, one step to the next, showing the way. So the way to enlightenment is through loving kindness, the four limitless states of mind, and meditation. So, like the earth, Buddha mind is the basis for all of these. They all grow out of it. They're all there inside us. They're like seeds waiting to be watered and come to life. You are like our mind just now is like a magic garden with so many ungrown seeds. So it's like the earth. And implicit is in this is that of the 9 examples, the earth's the best. It's not perfect, but of the 9 examples, it's the best. It's quite interesting in lots of spiritual songs in Buddhism. Then it talks of space, the Buddha mind being like space. And it gives people one impression. But here, what we're seeing is this wonderful earth which nourishes all the plants and supports us in so many ways. That's the best example. Very different. I think people have done it, and there's been 1 or 2 people who've walked all the way around the globe. But even then, that's just one circuit on the path they took. I'm sure if you went all over the planet, you'd realize how immense and varied, the earth is, from Antarctica to the jungles and so on. You see everything that the earth is doing. It's big and busy. Space is easy, nothing, full stop. Space is simple. So, earth. Now we move, there we've finished the Buddha activity chapter. The next section, and now we're in the conclusion. Remember, in the overall picture of this text, we've got the good beginning, good middle, good end. The good middle was the 7 Vajra points, 7 verses: Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Buddha nature, enlightenment, Buddha qualities, Buddha activity. We just finished the main body of the text. Now we're coming to the good end, the good conclusion. It's in 2 parts. There's the conclusion, and then there's the dedication. So now we're in the conclusion, and it's titled in the commentary, The Benefits of this Text. Verse 377. Buddha nature, the Buddha's enlightenment, Buddhahood's qualities and enlightened activity, the last 4 chapters, are inconceivable things, even for purified beings, as they are the domain of experience of their guides. So if you remember, the main body of the text has been presented as what is to be achieved, the result, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And then as the means, the cause for achieving it, Buddha nature, enlightenment, enlightened qualities, enlightened activity. So our 7 Vajra chapters are in 2 sections, first 3, last 4. So it's in these last 4, even bodhisattvas don't understand these fully. Only Buddha understands not only what they are saying, but how those 4 are the cause for Buddha's being, the Dharma being, and the Sangha being. And we take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Where do they come from? They come from out of Buddha nature, through beings like Shakyamuni getting enlightened and showing us enlightenment's qualities and enlightened, and through their enlightened activity. So we can talk about it and it makes sense, blah, 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 in there. But what's really going on every moment through all the worlds to awaken people and bring that result is very profound. Verse 378, a synopsis of the qualities. The wise who trust this domain of the Buddhas become vessels from multitudes of Buddha qualities, genuinely delighting in a host of inconceivable qualities. They surpass the virtues of every sentient being. So at the beginning, when it says the wise, it means bodhisattvas in the 10 levels. They have total trust in this domain of the Buddhas, in these Buddha nature and everything that comes out of it. And because they trust it, and they're learning and they're practicing, so many incredible, magnificent, splendid, wonderful things happen. And there's just no way they can describe it. What's going on inside them is beautiful and beyond words, and more than you could ever, what they say in English, beyond your wildest dreams. And that's the wonderful life of Dharma. The beauty and the secret of the Dharma path. And then we get a series of verses where of all the Dharma things you can do, coming to understand what's in this book, generally we say the Buddha nature teachings, but we mean all 7 aspects, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Buddha nature and so on. Understanding that is better than all the other Dharma stuff. So we're going to look at all the other Dharma stuff and see, this is the best. If you can awaken your mind to what this is telling us, this text, then it's just beyond what? Verse 379. One who hears but one word of this, and having heard, has faith, will attain greater virtue than any other who, striving for enlightenment, offers golden lands adorned with jewels, equal in number to all the atoms in the Buddha fields, offering them to the King of Dharma daily. So better than offerings. And here it gives an example of a pretty big offering, right? Golden lands adorned with jewels, as many of them as there are atoms, every day, day after day. So generosity is better than the practice of generosity. Verse 381, who hears but one word of this, and having heard, has faith, will attain greater virtue than that of the right conduct practiced by the bodhisattvas, by the wise, while they're longing for highest enlightenment and maintaining proper conduct of body, speech, and mind, be it even for many cosmic eons. Just imagine you practice purity of body. Your body is nothing but a benefit for the world. It never harms anybody in any way. Your speech, the same. And your mind, only pure good thoughts. For many, 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 many lifetimes, all the goodness, all the good karma you make doesn't equal one word, it says, really appreciating one word. It says, one who hears but one word, and through what they hear has faith. It means one idea. Even one bit of these ideas, if you really listen, you really explore it, and that brings you faith, trust, then that is more than lifetimes and lifetimes of generosity or right conduct. And then we go on. One who hears but one word of this, and having heard, has faith, will attain greater virtue than that of the meditative stability of others, whose dhyana rids the three worlds of defilement's fires and brings achievement of the divine state of Brahma's paradise, even if practiced as a way to supreme immutable enlightenment. So if somebody's really meditating in retreat all day long, developing shamatha and so on, and it's still not as good as understanding what is Buddha's teaching in the third turning of the wheel of Dharma. So the next section, why? Why is this getting it? Why is this awakening to this Buddha nature in these 7 aspects? Why is it so much better than the first 5 parameters practice? Well, the real reason is that those first 5 take place in our stream of consciousness. They are actions we do. We meditate, we're kind, we're generous, we practice right conduct with others, protect life, and so on. All 5 of those take place within the stream of consciousness, which is causes and conditions. The causes make the good results. Good results are wonderful. As it mentioned, you may be reborn in Brahma's heaven, but then they finish. Impermanent. Beautiful causes, beautiful results, finished. They make our samsara so much better, but we are still in samsara because we're in a mind of duality, and we're still in the grip of an idea of a me, and it's that me that goes into a better reality. Me and duality are still there because there is ignorance of our true nature. These teachings point to our true nature, and once we awaken to that true nature, it's forever. It's not a cause that will bring a result for a little time, and then it's all over. Oh yes, I was enlightened for a whole year back in the 1980s. And then it went away. That will never happen. This is the truth of everything. It's truth of the universe, truth of you. It's always been like that. Once you get to it, over. All over. Ego, duality, ignorance, finished. So it says, generosity brings affluence, right conduct leads to higher states, meditative stability removes defilements, but pranja, wisdom, the wisdom of this text, removes all defilements as well as the cognitive obscuration. Therefore, this prajna is the most excellent thing. And the cause of that wisdom is to study such texts as these. There's a more developed explanation, page 315, verse 383. This presence, what it becomes, so this presence, Buddha nature, what it becomes, enlightenment, its qualities, and accomplishing that which is good. These 4 points are the domain of Buddha's perfect knowledge, as has been explained. Verse 384, through faith in these, the fact of this presence, and it being the power, and with qualities endowed, the wise are quickly ripe for Tathagata achievement. Over the page, verse 385. Through faith, one believes this inconceivable domain present and attainable by someone like me. And once attained, to have such qualities and such endowments of activities. Endowments means you can manifest the 2 kayas, 2 form kayas. Therefore, bodhicitta is ever present in them as a vessel for the qualities of earnest aspiration, joyful endeavor, mindfulness, meditative stability, prajna, and the others. So what it's saying is, although only Buddha understands those last 4 points, Buddha nature, enlightenment, Buddha qualities, Buddha activity, even though only Buddha understands it perfectly, through studying as we have studied, will develop faith. And that faith will bring out all of this list of qualities of the paramitas of purifying our mind and so on. That faith in our Buddha nature, that faith that enlightenment is possible, that faith that enlightenment isn't just end of story, candle going out, big blank. It is becoming all those innumerable qualities of enlightenment, and that it helps others in so many ways, from the highest of beings, the bodhisattvas, down to the lowest of hells. There will be Buddha activity. This faith will really fire up our bodhicitta and will change you as a human being, will make your path wonderful. You'll have irreversible and inspired faith. It's priceless. You know, this world, what we see of it, know of it through the media, we don't know if that's the real world that's out there, but it's all we know of it. It's in a bit of a mess. And to know what is possible for us, and to believe it, and to dedicate everything we are and our whole life to it. That's the purpose of these teachings. Verse 387, as this Buddha nature, this enlightenment, is constantly present, then the victor's offspring, bodhisattvas, do not deviate. The paramita, in plural, they establish through virtue, are perfected, stage by stage, to become immaculate. Virtue, meaning as the first 5 of the 6 paramita, is brought to perfection by an absence of any triplistic thought concerning them. They are completely purified by removal of their opposites. Virtue, so the first 5 paramita, generosity, right conduct, forbearance, diligence, meditation, they are brought to perfection by an absence of triplicity. So it's when we practice generosity, right conduct, without any notion of me doing it to somebody, and an interaction. It means we don't make them solid. If we make it solid, we get worldly karma. If I'm giving you something, then I get the karmic benefits of generosity for as long as whatever causes I make, I get the results, and it's finished. Through these teachings about Buddha nature being the truth, then what we normally call duality, but if we add subject-object, if we add interaction, then it's triplicity. We learn to live a life of generosity in which there is no notion of me doing it to somebody or someone, something that's other than I just did. An action of generosity, of right conduct, of meditating. There is no meditator achieving something. We learn to transcend the dualistic, triplistic mind. That's why this is so important. And it says, so we've developed the first 5 paramita, and by develop, what does it mean to develop them? It means taking away their opposites. Actually, that's what the practice is. We don't become generous, we take away meanness, we take away fear. We don't become moral, we take away the perversion of exploiting others. We don't become forbearing, we get rid of anger and irritation and frustration. And we don't become diligent, we get rid of laziness and not caring. We don't learn to meditate, and as I'm sure many of you know, we just learn to get rid of distraction. No more distraction, meditation's natural. Verse 389, virtue born of giving is generosity, virtue born of correct action, right conduct, forbearance and meditative stability are both born of meditation. Joyous diligence is a companion for all. So when we study the 6 paramitas, we put them into groups, and we have we've got generosity, right conduct, and then meditation gives rise to forbearance, as well as meditation stability itself. Diligence is not seen as so much a separate paramita, because you can't just sit down and be diligent. You can sit down and meditate, you can go out and be generous. But if you say, let's be diligent, you can't. You have to be diligently generous, diligently right conducting, diligently meditating, and diligently putting up with obstacles. So that's just a grouping of the 6 paramitas, or the first 5 paramitas. Triplistic thoughts are what we call the cognitive obscuration. All avaricious and so on, desire, jealousy, anger, pride, they are the defilement obscuration. Other than through wisdom, there's no means for removing these. Therefore, prajna is the best of all the paramita, and its basis is study such as this text, and so study is supreme. Next section in the conclusion, how this was composed. Verse 392, why it was written. Thus on the basis, so this is the author now, Asanga, on the basis of trustworthy words of Lord Buddha and of reason, I've given this teaching in order to purify myself alone and also further to nurture intelligent beings, those who have faith and those who have virtue. So this is the author being humble. He's saying this, writing this was an exercise for me to see how well I've got it, and how much I've learnt or not, and maybe it will benefit others too. Second point, what was the basis for these words, all these verses? Just as when aided by a lamp or by lightning or by the light of a gem or the sun or the moon, those with eyes can see, so likewise by relying on the great sage who radiates the light of meanings, terms, dharma and dharani, I have now properly expanded this. So this is like a lamp. A lamp helps you see what's there. So he's given us all these words and basically summarized the words of Buddha and some great texts in order to give us this lamp to see what's really there in ourselves and around ourselves. And if you read the explanation, you'll see this can get very complicated, this verse, when we get into Dharani and how they work, mantras. Part 3, see, how to recognize the true Buddhist teaching. Whatever has significance and is well connected with Dharma is a teaching that removes the defilements in the three worlds and that shows the benefits of peace. Such is the Truthful One's teaching. What does not remove defilements but increases them, what doesn't show the benefits of peace, is contrary. It's something other. Verse 395, one should adopt whatever accords with that. Whatever those of perfectly undistracted mind have expounded, solely in accordance with the teaching of the victorious one, and conducive to the path for attaining liberation, should also be placed on the head like the Buddha's own words. So this is about Shastras, like this text. If it's the Buddha's own words, then to show respect, we put it on our heads, right? It's above us. We Buddhists take texts and give them as a blessing. Many Buddhist teachers, even though they're wonderful, I remember Khenpo Sotin, when somebody would come for a blessing, rather than give them a hand blessing or body blessing, he would take a text, put it on their hand, because the text is 100% pure. So he says, whatever those of perfectly undistracted mind have expounded, and only in accordance with the true teachings of the Buddha, and that inspires you to the path, then that's worthy of being placed on the head like the Buddha's own words. Verse 396, since no one in this world has more Dharma skill than Buddha, the omniscient one, who properly knows all without exception as being the supreme suchness, isness, which others ignore, whatever sutra were expounded by the great sage in Persian should never be adulterated. It means teachers should not teach their own opinions, their own limited understanding. They should transmit the Buddha's teaching purely. For such would harm the true Dharma through destroying the way of the mighty victors. And I'm sorry for going quickly, but we've got to finish. Okay, so take a deep breath. We're looking at straightforward verses. It's what's not true teaching and the way people lose Dharma. Those who are, through defilement, by nature ignorant, revile the deeply realized and despise their teachings, all of which occurs through opinions. Therefore, the mind should never be confined to the impure prison of preconception. Clean cloth may be dyed with color, but never cloth stained by oil. This is a very, very good example. It's, if you take a piece of cloth, you can dye it yellow, red, blue, and great. But if the cloth has an oil stain, then you can't. So what in our case would be the oil stain in your mind that means you can't be dyed into a bodhisattva. You can't be dyed, put in the bath of bodhicitta and come out bodhisattva-ized, 100% like yellow or red or blue. Why can't you just be immersed in the teachings and come out, wow? What will stop it? What will be like an oil stain that will always be there and just spoil the rest? It's fixed opinions. It's something where you're rigid, you can't move, your mind can't be lifted to a higher level, a new version of things. Through lesser understanding, lack of aspiration for virtue, indulging in wrong pride, a nature veiled by neglecting Dharma, mistaking the expedient meaning for the absolute, thatness, the thirst of greed, the grip of ideology, the influence of those who despise the truth, staying far away from those who hold the teachings, having a lower aspiration, means just for your own good. Thus is the doctrine of the defeaters of the enemy abandoned. So what stops us from following the Buddhist path? Not just following it, but following it in the best way. And as you'll see in the explanation, there are 10 causes that are just developed in that verse. We can have not enough intelligence. We can have not enough care for other beings, or for not enough care for improving ourselves. We can have wrong pride, means we think we've got qualities we don't have. We can have a habit from past lives of neglecting our Dharma. And then we can mistake the expedient truth for the absolute, or vice versa. We get the two truths mixed up. We're greedy. We have very strong fixed ideas. We're under the influence of people who don't like Dharma. Or we don't go to true teachers, we stay away from them. When in our mind, we don't listen to their advice. And then lower aspiration means we practice Dharma for ourselves, not for everybody. Verse 399, powerful verse. More than fire, more than cruel poisonous snakes, murderers and lightning, should the wise fear the loss of these profound teachings. Fire, snakes, enemies, and thunderbolts only bring this life to an end. They do not take one to the fearsome state of worst torment. Verse 400, even one who, through repeated association with evil friends, has had harmful intentions towards the Buddha, or who commits the most heinous acts of killing father, mother, or an arhat, or who creates divisions in the noble Sangha, will be quickly rid of such things once sincerely reflecting upon this true nature. How could there be liberation for one whose mind hates Dharma? So there we're looking at what are called the 5 worst karmas, such as killing your father, your mother, and so on. And it says this wisdom, this insight, this trust gained through what we're reflecting on through this text is a purifier, as well as everything else, even if we've done terrible things in this life or in past life. Studying this truest nature, connecting with it, connecting with this greatest purity is the greatest purifier. And of course we visualize this in Vajrayana. We connect with the Guru in a pure light form, and the light cleanses our past karma away, like in Vajrasattva practice. Now we come to the dedication. Whatever virtue I acquire through having properly explained these 7 points, the 3 jewels, the perfectly pure essence, Buddha nature, immaculate enlightenment, enlightenment's qualities and Buddha activity, through it may beings see the sage of boundless life, Amitayus, and be endowed with limitless light. Having seen him, once their stainless Dharma eyes are opened, may they then achieve supreme enlightenment. On what basis, for which reasons, in which way, that which has been explained and those things in harmony, these have been taught by means of stanzas 4. And so this is looking back on the verses of the conclusion. So that's, you're seeing the explanation. He's just going back to verse 392, verse 393, to show where these teachings came from. 2 of them have shown the means for purifying oneself, then the causes of the loss. And we have verses showing how we lose our bodhicitta, and through 2 stanzas, an explanation of the result. The last verse, verse 404, in brief, the twofold result has been explained. Benefit for oneself, benefit for others. In what is said in the last one of the verse, the surrounding mandala, forbearance, and the attainment of enlightenment. So if we had the time, then this verse 402, 403, 404, they're just looking back and they're saying, this verse is about that, that verse is about that, this verse is about that, and all of it's about doing the very best thing for ourselves and the very best for others, called the twofold enlightenment. In also part of the conclusion, there's the colophon, it's in italics. The original Sanskrit text was translated into Tibetan by the great Pandita and scholar Sajjana, grandson of the Brahmin Ratnavajra, and by the Tibetan translator, the Sakya monk Lodin Sherab, in the incomparable city of glory, probably Srinagar. This new translation into English was completed on the auspicious day commemorating Lord Buddha's return from Tushita paradise in the 9th Tibetan month of the Earth Tiger year by Ken and Katia Holmes in the Kagyu Semiling Monastery and Tibetan Centre in Scotland. May it bring wisdom and happiness. So there we've concluded our journey through the text. let's go back, before we do our dedication, to Asanga's own dedication. That's verse 401. Through whatever virtue acquired, through a proper explanation of these 7 points, and then we have the list of them, through it may beings see the Buddha of boundless life, Amitayu. And having seen him, once their stainless Dharma eyes are opened, may they then achieve supreme enlightenment. So that's the Sangha's dedication. It's a very, very beautiful one. It's quite interesting because although this is it's a Mahayana level text, all of it, here we get a reference to Buddha Amitayus, and it's full of meaning, because Buddha Amitayu is the boss, is the guru of Buddha Amitabha. And even if we don't get to see Buddha Amitabha while we're alive, then through the blessing of this text, when we die and our mind leaves this limitless body and goes into limitless space, then may we see Amitabha, the Buddha of boundless light, that comes from the reality of boundless life. This is profound. It means, may we be reborn in what they call Dewa Chen. So now, just give me a second. So we're going to do our dedication, and so for a good dedication, we're sharing. Dedication means sharing, right? You only want to share what's good. So we've been more than a year together on this text. I've certainly spoken a lot of rubbish during that time, full of my own examples, jokes, all sorts of irrelevant, let's say, if not rubbish stuff. So we're going to do some mantras to purify away Ken's imperfections, impurities that have come into this teaching. On your side, you've probably been sometimes distracted, sleepy. Maybe sometimes you've been upset at me because I didn't do it very well, or because you didn't agree. You've had emotions and feelings and ignorance and dullness. So we're not dedicating any of that stuff. That's not what we're sharing with other sentient beings. Only what was pure, only what was good, only what was wise, we are sharing with everybody else. So before we do the dedication prayer, we do some purification. If you know Vajrasattva, then we do Vajrasattva together. I'm going to ring a bell. You want to turn down your volume because these bells make a terrible clatter through a microphone. In fact, I'll put the microphone behind the screen so it doesn't sound so much. So let's think that everything that was impure throughout this course, your side, my side, we are purifying away. So we have something very wonderful and pure and rich to share with everybody. Oh, Bhagavan Savata Tagata Samhimsa Benza Bhawa Maha Samaya Sata Om Benza Sata Samaya Upalaya Bizas Pitinova the Tradita Nibawa Spoken Nibawa Spoken Nibawa Nurakami Baba, Sawasidi Mantraya Saswatama Sutsame, Sitam Shriyan Guru Hum, Haha, Haha, Ho, Bhagavan, Sawata Tagata, Benza Mame Musa, Benzi Baba, Maha Samaya Sata, Benza Satu Samaya, Manupalaya, Bezastuti Nobody, Drajam Baba, Tokami Baba, Spokami Baba, Nurakami Baba, Sawasidi Mantraya Sasawakama Sutsame, Sitam Shriyan Guru Hum, Haha, Haha, Ho, Bhagavan, Sawa Tatakata, Benza, Mame Musa, Benzi Bawa, Maha, Samaya, Sata, Benza 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 Sata. May whatever virtue was created by this course contribute to the state of omniscience being attained. By the main enemy, our mind's defilements, duality, triplicity, basic ignorance, all being completely defeated. And through that, may each and every sentient being without exception become freed from the vicious ocean of existence, troubled by its waves of rebirth, aging, sickness, and death. May this precious bodhicitta arise in those in whom it's not arisen. In those in whom it has arisen, may its development know no setbacks, and may it increase ever more and more. Through this virtue, may we quickly achieve Mahamudra and establish every single sentient being in that same accomplishment. Through this virtue, in the next and every future life, may we connect more and more with the teachings of Buddha Maitreya and with these most wonderful teachings on our Buddha nature and enlightenment and its qualities and its activity. Through this virtue, may all those with whom we are connected receive benefit. Our parents in this life, our parents and siblings of all our former lives, our friends, our enemies, all of those who have a karmic connection. May they come closer and closer to Dharma. May we benefit them more and more as life follows life. May we gather them around us as we attend the teachings when Bodhisattva Maitreya becomes Buddha Maitreya. And when we ourselves reach enlightenment, may we bring them to the various paths of Dharma and eventually to enlightenment. That's it. Well, there we go. It's your turn.
Ken,
Mm-hmm.
there's I believe, I may have remembered this correctly. I believe there's a quote from the Bible, probably in one of the New Testaments, about one of the greatest gifts that a man can give is to lay his life down for his friend.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you've done is an even greater gift, and thank you.
You're very welcome. I mean, I'm the one who gets all the benefit. This takes from first studying it to publishing this book, which is the conclusion. This is the third book that came out of studying this text. First there was just the root verses, then with Khenpo Sotim we translated what's called a Tsikdrel in Tibetan, where you have a minimum explanation, just an extra word or two, so that it's more like prose than verses, with more explanation. And then there's this one, which is based on Trungpa Rinpoche and Khenpo Sotim's explanation. So altogether, not all the time, because I did lots of other things too, but this was 17 years of our life. And I mean, the entire benefit was, who got the most out of it? It's me, you know. So, and you know, I hope it does and it has benefited other people. But if I can share something personal, I must say, it's like Maitreya was there all the time in those 17 years. It's, you know, people have invisible friends, and I had this invisible friend. So thank you very much. But yeah, I got the most, I think, and I'm very happy about it. So,
And I'm very happy about it too. You did a wonderful job, and you met the greatest teachers at the most auspicious time. So, congratulations to all of us, because we got the download, you know,
yeah,
and one step away from reality, from the greatest reality. So, uh, you're a good conduit of wisdom and blessings. So we really appreciate your kindness and your effort for your entire life. You've been on the joyous diligence, the path of joyous diligence. That's great.
it is.
Great.
Totally agree.
uh, I wasted my life staying in Hawaii, but it's still going. It's still going.
No, it's my life's funny, you know, that there's only two people who know me well. That's me and Akon Rinpoche before. And we both know how lazy I am. And it's because it doesn't look like that. I mean, even when I was in Samiling, even now, they say, I'm sorry to trouble you. I know you're so busy. I hope you don't mind me sending you an email. And if you don't have the time, it doesn't matter. You know, you don't need to reply. I've always looked busy. And how can you say been busy? But I never pushed myself to the limit. I've taken, knowing my own potential, I've gone at a trot, not a gallop, you know. And I don't know if there's an element of self-preservation in there, or safety, or whatever. But most people, when I've said that in the past, they think I'm just being humble or saying something. But like I say, only me and Akon Rinpoche know how much I didn't do, you know, and how much I could have done. Really, so much more. So I look
I
back.
think you took your time to chew your food well. So
Yeah,
you don't want to gobble too fast. You know, you got to savor the meal a little bit, you know. So you did a great job.
yeah, thank
Even
you.
though being lazy is Mahamudra.
Well,
That's the
yes,
better
yeah,
you can rest, the better you can meditate, says our guru. So being lazy is an accomplishment.
thank you.
If you're lazy in the right way.
Well, that's it. It's not actually lazy, it's inactive. But anyway, it's a great quote. I'm just so amazed. We finished it. And I'm going to take a while to think about what course we do next. I mean, we're going to do some dohas in between, but that's, how can you say, it's not studying one text in detail. It's studying very wonderful words of advice, but they're brief, and we can only we can just enjoy ourselves for a couple of weeks with dohas, and then do a bit more serious study for next year. And your suggestions very welcome, but please don't be upset if they're not taken up, because in the end I've got to make a choice. And so maybe we'll stop there.
Is there a multiple choice of what we can choose? What do you have in mind
I
for
don't.
the next? Do you have
No,
anything in mind?
I'm open to any suggestion, and I'd also, be, how can you say, open to suggestions from above as well as from our little group, to see if something whispers in my ear that it will be best, like this one. It didn't seem reasonable to start this huge text, but something pushed me, so I let myself be pushed. So maybe I'll get another nudge in 2026. Let's see.
And as I joined this group on, not from the beginning,
Mm.
do you have a list of what you've taught so far? Because I have a hard time discerning that from your video page on YouTube.
There is a list, and Vicky very kindly, she updates the list almost every week, and there's a PDF. I thought on my website, kempo.eu, that there is a link to a playlist on YouTube. The other thing, that now this course is finished, I will add it to all the recordings I've got of my teaching. So that's all the videos, all the Zoom videos these last few years, and then all the audio teachings I've given over the last, 15 years in Dharma centers. They're all going to go onto a hard drive that you'll be able to purchase. And so there you'll get a better quality video than you get on YouTube. And you'll have it, you can just plug it in, you don't need to go online and download things. And there'll be a lot of other goodies. It's kind of how can you say? Well, I'm thinking about dying, so it's what I want to leave behind for you, right? And so I want to pack as much good stuff. And so that should be available, I hope, in the first quarter of next year, including up to the end of this course.
Wonderful. Thank you. And is Vicky's list on your website?
I'll put it there if it's not. I can't quite remember. I've not really visited my site for a while.
Okay.
But it's I can put it there. I'll put it there.
Thank you.
It's a
Is that
PDF with links in it.
Is there a how do you spell the name of your website? Is it KHENPO
Yeah,
.eu?
yeah,
Okay, easy to remember.
yeah.
And I just came to my mind what I would request you to teach more on the getting ready to die. I'm dying too. I don't know who's going to die first.
Well, there's already 2 Zoom courses on that, based on Atisha's teachings and practical experience too. So they're already up for anybody. In the past, when I was doing live courses, in centers, I like to repeat that one every so often, because it's when we're all going to die. And even if you train for it, and you don't have to be dying to train for it. If you can train for it while you're still lucid and you've got some strength and so on, it makes life better. That's the amazing thing, when you train for death. you appreciate life more. And so it's very, very insightful training from a teacher. And so that's already up. It only takes a few sessions. Could do it again. That's one thing to think about. But I think I was fairly happy with the YouTube version, so it'll just be more of the same.
I think I remember parts of that.
Mm-hmm.
And Ken, hi.
Hi, Lisa.
And what maybe would it be possible to maybe an Amitabha sadhana or something?
I don't usually give Vajrayana teachings because each person's own Vajrayana story, them, their guru, their Dharma center, their teachers, is something I don't want to interfere with. I mean, it's another level of reality. Giving Mahayana teachings, which are valid for everybody, is something else. So the only one I did online was Chinrazik, because Chinrazik is so special and universal and doesn't require, you can practice it to a certain degree without empowerment, better with empowerment. But when we get to whatever is sadhana, then I belong to the old school where secret is secret. People need the empowerment, they need the scriptural transmission, then I can give the instructions. So there's a lot of Dharma everywhere online, and even very well-known Rinpoches seem to have broken all the rules. And maybe it's the time for it. I mean, this has happened in the past. Things that have been forbidden to be made public were made public, like a 7-point mind training teaching, which is everywhere. You know, there's so many versions, books, and so on. For the first 5-6 generations from Atisha, that was a secret transmission, very, very secret. A seal of secrecy, not allowed to share, except under very special conditions. Now and then there was a decision that it could be made public, but my main teacher at the moment is Taisitupa, and I see he stays by the old rule book, and he's very, very careful about anything Vajrayana level. If it's going to be transmitted, then everything needs to be right. So there's another bit of my life. It's safe for me. Steer clear of all of that. Just don't touch it. Right. I'm Mahayana, available to everybody, and keep it like that.
Ken, when you were talking just now about putting all your teachings on a hard drive, do you remember back in something like 2012 at Sammy Ling, you did a Christmas course on Chenrezig?
Yeah.
Will that be on the...
Yeah.
Great.
Only audio, but that's
yeah. Brilliant.
2011 it was, I think. Yeah, that course. Yeah, there's a lot. It needs its own hard drive, and so copying it is quite making copies is it's not like a USB stick or something like that. It's don't know, a terabyte, 2 terabytes, something like that. It's a lot. Okay, well, next week we start the Dohas. If you want the support text, the document, then please register for the text on the email that's Ken Courses at Proton Mail. and then you'll get a copy. The link I'll keep the same as for this course, so it'll be the same link. And I'll just change the title. So it's Christmas, so Merry Christmas. Have a very good Christmas week.
How do we
And if you're
register for the
escaping
course?
it, have a good escape. Okay.
How do we register for the course again?
You email kencourses@protonmail.com.
Happy solstice, happy new moon.
Yeah. Oh, and Myron, thank you. If you go to that site, kempo.eu, the link's there too.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Okay.
Thanks, Ken.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you. Draw now. Draw.
Bye-bye.
Bye.